인텔 스튜디오스의 디에고 프루스키 디렉터님을 모시고 이야기를 들어보고자 합니다. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage for his keynote speech, Mr. Diego Prilusky.
Hi, good afternoon, and thank you very much for having me here. This is a pleasure. I've had the opportunity as well to walk downstairs in the floor, and it looks like things are moving fast, and we're seeing more and more technology involved. And we had the good speaks this morning, and we have gone a lot about how do we experience what is the hardware, and now I want to take a bit of a break on hardware display and more talk about the capture capabilities. How do we capture content? How do we break the wall from the traditional filmmaking and more look into how do we make filmmaking for VR? How do we make filmmaking for AR? How do we make filmmaking and content immersion for all these immersive media categories? For that, we have at Intel initiated Intel Studios. Intel Studios is focused on what we call the home for immersive media filmmaking. We're working with a lot of creators, filmmakers, and trying to understand what are the methodologies that we have to develop in order to look into these new emerging media markets, and how the content needs to be created for a better storytelling, for a more immersive experience. So I will start with a short video that kind of shows and tell the process that we have done for the last 2 years developing the studio, and then I will take the opportunity to do a breakdown in terms of what is the content that we're creating as an example. Let me see here.
In a history that has spanned more than a century, the technology behind the making of motion pictures has seen only a few innovations that could be considered truly transformational.
He's looking at you, kid.
And it all started with the work of a pioneering photographer by the name of Edward Muybridge, who performed a simple experiment often regarded as the single most important event in cinematic history: the horse in motion. This iconic set of 24 photos was shot in rapid succession by a lineup of 12 individual cameras and played back on another Muybridge innovation known as the zoopraxiscope in order to create the illusion of movement. In other words, one of the world's first motion pictures. Fast forward approximately 150 years, and another such transformational moment is about to take place. Here, inside an unassuming soundstage near Los Angeles International Airport, the next great innovation in motion picture entertainment has been under construction for more than a year. 25,000 square feet of total studio space, a 10,000 square foot volumetric capture area, 5.1 miles of fiber, 10 petabytes of on-site storage, and a nearly unfathomable amount of compute power. This is Intel Studios, the world's largest and most advanced volumetric video capture and creation facility. Designed to harness the power of data in new ways by capturing motion performance in 3 dimensions, and via more than 1 billion points of light. The scale and scope of what the studio makes possible represents the next great transformation in the art and craft of producing motion pictures, offering an entirely new way to create more fully immersive and interactive experiences.
So we talk a lot about history, and I think we started this with the talk earlier, looking at earlier devices. We're looking at also in the history past how we capture content, and looking today what is the next step of capturing content, what's the next step of the storytelling. And what I want to do is take you into kind of a breakdown of one of the first pieces we shoot at the studio, testing the technology, and try to kind of show you really how much, when we look at immersive media, when we look at volumetric video, and we're going to be talking about volumetric video a lot, the capabilities and the possibilities that it has on the different medias for use cases. This is shows a few of the images at the studio. We have a 10,000 square feet stage. It's a big dome, more than 100 cameras installed, and multiple different sensors. Our goal is really to capture everything that happens inside the volume. Everything that happens from the color spectrum, from the temperature spectrum, and even for the audio spectrum. We're testing any type of technology that can capture volumetric information with the understanding that we are now already not anymore in a fat screen, and we need to break that wall to enable content and immersive content for those Dune devices that we're experiencing and seeing today. The first test scene we did was a big production, and we selected the topic of a Western. Looking a bit, the studio is based in LA, Wild West, and also a bit also on an homage to Muybridge and the horse in motion. Really taking the advantage of a large scale for volumetric capture, what better to bring a horse that will run inside and capture a full scene that will enable that. For that, we constructed everything from actual sets to actual bringing dirt and bringing horses and actors and stunt actors and any kind of prop, really looking into very much a connection between the past of the traditional and the future of capture everything that can happen. We decided to take this challenge and not do, or try to avoid as much as we can any kind of CG, just to have really the core or the true essence of capturing the entire scene with light. At the end of the day, what we're capturing is light, photons of light that bounce from all the scenery, that bounce from the actors, that bounce from the background. In capturing of that light, we can create a three-dimensional information. Using more than 100 cameras, we can triangulate each one of the different information and position each pixel in space. And I will showcase that in a second. And as you can see, we had reconstructed an entire set really with the goal to digitize everything that goes inside in a way that we can go afterwards and re-experience and immerse inside. This is the shot. We had a couple of takes. It took a bit of time to get to the right action. It's very theatrical. It's one take, 30 seconds, and basically the challenge was for the actors as well, and a lot for the stunts. They are used to stand in front of the camera and have a side that they can see and a side that they cannot see. So if they do a punch, they will do it in the backside so the camera will not see it. Here we had to rethink and tell them, hey, you can see the action from any direction. So we have to look at this kind of scenery very much as a theatrical scene. And thinking about we're making a true scene reality. It's not anymore cut and paste shots. We're capturing an entire reality, and with the idea that the experiences and the spectators will be able to immerse inside. So you can see here again from another camera angle, but you can see we capture this, and this is around 30 or 40 images we're showing from the hundreds we capture. Taking every angle possible, any type of information, and obviously with heavy algorithms, we combine everything into a three-dimensional image. Once we got the scene, we also need to recreate or understand how to do the extension. So very much as a traditional visual effects pipeline, we will capture the set, but also we will do digital extensions where needed to really recreate a full environment scene, right? The goal is not to get away from computer digitized or CGI. The goal is really to capture the true essence of performance, the true essence of actors, the true essence of human and the true essence of a theatrical experience, combining that with visual effects and creating virtual worlds that we can immerse inside and virtual worlds that we can tell new stories. So this is how it looks, the capture itself. This is a raw volumetric data, and as you can see, every angle that we're seeing right now is very much virtual. Once we got all the information from all the different cameras, we can position those pixels in space and basically see it from any angle that will be possible. The capabilities to really move around and look it and position the camera really from any action is something that is challenging very much the directors today in the industry. And there's a lot of use cases that we're looking in terms of how do we take this data, right? We have all this huge amount of information. There's no need to place any camera inside. There's no need to place any camera on top of the people's head or any kind of placement. We can really immerse inside this volumetric data scene with no limitations. The challenges that we're seeing in today is how do we display the data, right? So we're capturing huge amount of information. We say more than 1 billion point of lights, right? 1 million pixels that are presented in space. When we get into the devices, when we get into VR devices, we talk about compute, the challenges come into how much we need to compress this data and display. So those are one of the main challenges that we're seeing today in order to get this into a user that will be able to experience. I'll show you another. This is one single frame rendered with the full multi-view render capability. So basically you're seeing a really full volumetric three-dimensional scene frame that captures. And this is a bit jiggly just because the amount of compute that needs to be done, currently it's rendering around 12 frames per second. And this is taking the entire data set of one single frame, right? So in order to get this into a real-time devices, we're looking really much into the high compute capabilities and to the high-end graphic cards. Believing that, yes, today this type of content is something that it's not accessible to everyone because we know the challenges we have with VR devices, we know the challenges we have with the technology for displaying content. But understanding that the content that we're capturing today, the methodologies that we're developing for filmmaking volumetric are here to stay. We understand that volumetric video and I would say volumetric data capture is going to be a core in the capabilities for content creators. It's going to be a core in the way we're going to be digitizing experiences. And if you think in a way, it's really the next step into filmmaking, into content creation. I'll show you now. Sorry. So this is a final shot that we rendered from the entire clip we capture. We capture 30 seconds in full volumetric, high resolution. And everything that you're going to be seeing here, it's basically a virtual camera. So there was no camera placement beside the cameras that capture the data, which we don't call them camera anymore. We call them sensors. We call them one single big volumetric camera, right? This dome that can capture every volume. And what you're going to see basically is a virtual camera that was post-directed. So a director sat inside front of a computer. And after the scene was captured, he can create new camera moves and create a new storytelling that will showcase. This is one single render. Obviously, you can experience this type of information or this data in VR, which we have doing so. And also, you can experience this in the AR, right? So there's no limitations once you capture the entire information. and the way you can display it and position it. So let me play this. So I'll play that again. A lot of time being asked, hey, we've seen this before, right? We've seen the bullet time effect. But I think what's important to understand that we are here playing with space and time. The ability to capture the volumetric video is really enable us not just to move in space, but also to stop time and move with time. And what you're seeing is really the entire camera move let me see here. It's a virtual volumetric, right? So this is already, we're seeing a point cloud of volumetric data that we're rendering. We're stopping the time, but we keep moving on a seamless camera move. Really the possibilities for creation and storytelling are breaking the limits that we've seen with integrating cameras. And there is a very much correlation in terms of the storytelling and the technology as well. When we look at installing all the cameras we need in order to capture this volumetric data, we're looking very much at very similar to what is today a 360 camera, that we have a one center camera looking from inside out. Basically, we'll take the same concept of synchronized camera, high resolution, but extending them in the inverse. So instead of being inside out, we're breaking that camera, placing that in a huge dome, and now you have a big volume that's capturing everything that's happening inside, right? And that's, we believe, it's going to be one of the pillars for content creators. We believe it's going to be one of the core capabilities that we're going to be seeing in, probably we'll start on high-end, let's say, productions. Obviously, this is not close to be an indie production anytime soon, but we're here looking at the investments into the next 5 to 10 years and how this is going to change the capabilities of volumetric video, volumetric capture, and immersive technologies for content creators. And with that, I will thank you and ask if there's any questions or anything specific. Thank you. Thank you.